I wanted to make a how-to bestiary craft and not really talk about the simple stuff too much, but more about some of the advanced things that you can do with beast crafting that actually makes it really cool. But it can be a lot harder, especially as a casual player, to find out about these things, and some of them might seem pretty daunting when you are like not swimming in Exalts, because they're risky and you don't really know how they work. So I want to like explain a few things I've been doing with beast crafting and some things that like a lot of the like richer people have been using to their advantage, and a few people have been like, you know, not very public about them, but I like sharing stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to shed some light on the bestiary craft system. So there's something really powerful with the bestiary crafting, and that is combining them with level 8 masters. So there's something you can do which is prefixes cannot be changed or suffixes cannot be changed. And these work very differently with the bestiary crafts than they do with essences. Now, if you do prefixes cannot be changed and then do an essence on it, it will override it completely. So you can't like add things with essences. However, with the bestiary craft system, you can. And they also work different than Chaos Orbs. Now, so this Sorrow Song here, the axe, this started out with flaring, and then it had like 2 random suffixes. It was just anything. And that's important. I only wanted to have flaring as the only prefix. And then I did prefixes cannot be changed. Then I went to my bestiary recipes and I did one-handed axe with increased physical damage. Now, the way this works now, it sort of does it in weird stages. So if I do prefixes cannot be changed, it will keep the flaring. However, it removes the prefixes cannot be changed while still remembering the flaring's there, which is the important part, and then adds percentage fist damage. This is very different than the other orbs, because if I had flaring and prefixes cannot be changed and used a Chaos Orb, what it would do is it would just add suffixes. It would have no interaction with the prefixes whatsoever. It would remove the craft, prefixes cannot be changed, and add 1 to 3 suffixes. So why this is so powerful is that it can basically add mods, which is it's super powerful. So I got really lucky and added Bloodthirsty and Reavers. I mean, obviously it could have been even luckier. It could have added Merciless and Dictators, which would have put this at undisputed levels. But yeah, so then to continue crafting this, I did suffixes cannot be changed. Sorry, I did prefixes cannot be changed again, but then did attack speed, and then I got the 22% attack speed. I can continue crafting this with that. I can continue doing that. Prefixes cannot be changed to try to get higher attack speed, or attack speed and Elder mod. I could keep wiping suffixes and get off the Elder, and then do prefixes. You could actually do multi-mod prefixes cannot be changed and suffixes cannot be changed, and then do one of them if you have an open prefix and 2 open suffixes and a good prefix. That's very hard to do. Very hard to do that. But I'm just trying to put some ideas in your guys' heads, like how you can use this with prefixes cannot be changed or suffixes cannot be changed. Another really good use for this is how I made my amulet. So this basically had Assassin's Mark on hit as the only good suffix. I think it had just Assassin's Mark on hit, and then 2 prefixes or something. Then I did suffixes cannot be changed, and I forced life on it, and I actually hit tier 1 lightning or tier 2 lightning, and tier 1 life and accuracy. So I had a 3 stat on it. And I exalted the cold damage against shield or enemies. I exalted the energy shield, and I annulled the lightning so I could craft fire, because I didn't need lightning for my build. Same thing here. I think I just had tier 1 essence. Actually, no, I think I can't remember how we did that, so I can't really explain it. Anyway, another example here. This had the tier 1 quant, 8% increase to tributes. So I did suffixes cannot be changed and did the add life prefixes. So here what I did is suffixes cannot be changed, and then I did the amulet recipe for life. So it's actually not as expensive as you might think either, because it can save you a lot of annulments. Like it can end up, like on the axe, it cleaned up the suffixes for me. And obviously this is something you would be doing instead of 1 exalt, so you're spending 2 exalts instead of 1. And obviously a lot of the bestiary things are pretty cheap. So it doubles the cost, but you're targeting one specific mod. You might get 10 life, but you're 100% getting life. As opposed to like if I was just wiping the prefixes over and over again, like another thing I could have done with this amulet, I could have done suffixes cannot be changed, scour, and then it would wipe the prefixes, and then I could try over and over again to get tier 1 life, but that's a lot more expensive. This way you're guaranteeing at least a life roll. So I feel like that is pretty useful and worth looking into on a lot of things. Currently what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get flaring on this. I've done it like 4 times now and I haven't had anything above 100%. But yeah, I'm trying to do that. So a lot of fun things to experiment with, especially if you're into crafting, and even if you just want to make something like fairly cheap, it's a lot cheaper than slamming exalts. So if you don't have it yourself, try to find someone that can do it. I've mostly been using Doddle on hardcore, can do it. On softcore, the only one I know is Tebexi that I would like to vouch for. But Marty has some 8 masters, and Dan. There's a lot of useful crafting you can do. Other things that are worth it with Bestiary is some of the like unique flask. You can get a Xerfes, you can get a Taste of Hate. Xerfes is the most expensive one. It's probably around 30-35x on hardcore. It's a Prandazoni flask. The reason why it's so expensive is you cannot chance it. I did not know that. So I was actually going to do Trash to Treasure Xerfes. Doesn't work. Only drops from the chest. Maybe from the monsters too. But anyway, you cannot chance it. Item can be useful. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the beast crafting. Obviously, belt as well. I want to talk a little bit about beast crafting and something that's pretty scary about it. That I don't like. You know, I've like given GGG a suggestion about it, and I specifically asked if we could get the recipes you have unlocked thing, and they did. They did put that in. That's something I was like basically begging them for. However, it's not particularly useful. So especially what I mean by that, if you look at the aspect of the spider, any of these will show up as can be used to open a portal to Venomous' lair. So you might be thinking, like, I was crafting and people were like, no, don't use that spider, it's the Venomous spider. But it wasn't. It was like, that's Fenimil Hybrid Arachnid, it's the Venomous spider. But every single spider can be used to open a portal to Venomous' lair. So it'll show up there and open a portal to Venomous' lair, even though it's not the main ingredient. So I did message Chris and ask if we can get it color coded. Like, so my suggestion was that the yellow mob, so here it would say yellow on open a portal to Venomous' lair. And this one would say red, open a portal to Venomous' lair. That way it would make it a lot easier for players to know, like, is this just a filler one where I can use anything? Or is this like a rare one that, you know, it is actually worth a lot? And it can be pretty hard to understand which one of your beasts are worth a lot. So some of the ones I want to like mention, and a lot of them are really overpriced. A lot of them aren't worth buying because they have to be, like, they have to work out in the market to be around either slightly cheaper or just slightly more expensive than what it would cost you to buy it. And there are some of these where it would work out to like 50 to 100% more than just buying it on PoE Trade, and then it does make sense, right? Nobody's going to buy it at that price. So you have to figure out what is the most expensive thing the beast can be used in, and that sort of determines the price. So Prycake Presence on monsters over 70 is good on a lot of monsters. It's probably like the one I like keep a lookout on the most. So especially on Watchers, Prycake Presence is pretty rare, and Gem Frogs. These are both used for like this dupes the 6th link. So you can dupe like an Astral Plate or whatever. Obviously it doesn't work on shaped or eldered items anymore. What else? There's also Imprint is a pretty useful recipe. So all of these are pretty rare. They're usually in water maps, so like Sulfur Vent, Lee Line, Reef. Reef is really good, and I'll get to that in a second. Probably my favorite map to farm this thing. So you can actually target farm these. Something to keep in mind when you're target farming for beasts is if the map has like inhabited by sea witches, actually pretty good. Inhabited by sea witches is good, but the other ones like inhabited by goats, inhabited by undead. Undead's really bad. Don't do that this league. Like you won't get any good beasts with that. Sea witches is good because there's a few good sea witches, like sea witch with Quaker presence is used for the imprint. Maw is fairly rare. Octopus not too rare. That's like the big pirate squid things. Lurcher is really rare. Sulfur vents and reef seem to be like the most easy place to find these. Like the big crabby things. I don't know, like mutated crabs, I don't know what to call them. So why reef is really good is that's where you find the Craigie Presence rare octopus. So again, that's like the pirate ones with lots of snakes stuff coming out them and they have like swords. And they need to be item level 80 or higher. So reef is definitely your best bet for that. Carrion queens too, no. Press them out of those. But yeah, Farm Harbinger Orbs. Harbinger. So that is like the main tips I have for these. Like there's a lot of people like spamming like anything they have available. That's kind of cool. Like obviously if you see here, level 21 Corrupted Gem is actually using a lot of the good ones for the split recipe and stuff. You kind of want to like familiarize yourself a little bit with that, which is a bit of a headache. Another thing that's important is if you look, for example, this is a good example. So Orb of Horizons. Here it might be trying to use, so sometimes it doesn't like use your cheapest ones or best ones because obviously it doesn't know. So sometimes it could try to use a rare creature of the deep here with Craigie Presence. And obviously I want to save my Craigie Presence beast for the more expensive recipes. And I don't need to use it here. So what I normally do when I'm crafting is I'll look through and be like, oh, this is Craigie Presence, and I'll be like, okay, Crushing Claws isn't used for anything useful. So I will like look through like that and try to figure out like what is the most important thing to use beasts for. Like there are a lot of things that they'll suggest like using expensive beasts for cheap recipes. Some things as well, like that one. That is used, the Ferric Links Alpha is also used in random flask with 15 quality. Not worth using, ever. Never make a random flask with 15 to 20 quality. This is used in Mirror Map. So make sure, like, it's a little complicated, obviously. That's why I'm making this video, to try to help. But yeah, pretty useful. For cloning a map, obviously. Cloning a map is very useful for, you make a really good tier 16 with 8 mods, and you get the 8 mods by add an additional mod to rare map. And then once you've got a really good one, like 110 quant, 30 pack size, then you can start mirroring it. These were like the main things I wanted to go over. Talismans can be decent. The best place to farm like canines and stuff is in the like Careblade map. Some of the 6 things are pretty cool. Oh, there's one more thing I want to go over. There's a cool interaction with the split and imprint recipe. So, say you're trying to craft, this is particularly for things like foils. So say you're trying to craft a really good like physical foil for your Blade Flurry or whatever. And you want to imprint your Merciless. Now you can double your chance or double your effectiveness here by, as soon as you have the, as soon as you have Merciless with something, imprint it, and then you can reroll it. However, you can split it, and once you've split it, it's a little complicated, but once you've split it, if the Merciless roll, like this is assuming you fail, obviously if you get a good one, keep it. But if the Merciless roll goes on the newly made item, right? That's gonna have a new item ID, so that imprint recipe won't work on that. However, you will have Merciless on the new one, and you can then use your imprint on the old one that is now shit. Now you have 2 Merciless rolls. So that's sort of like you can min-max. It's a little complicated. I'm trying to like think of a better way to explain it, but hopefully somebody will understand that. I get that's not a good explanation. It's just I have a hard time finding a good way of explaining it. But basically, yeah, you can imprint Merciless and split it, and you can basically get 2. And it's pretty cost efficient because Merciless is around 1 in 3 or 4,000 alts, which say it's 4,000 and they're like 12 alts each. It's 333 chaos to hit a Merciless roll on average. Then it's a lot cheaper to imprint and split. So, a little bit of a convoluted explanation. Don't really know how to explain it better. And hopefully a lot of these tips help. I know it's like a little complicated, but I wanted to make a video to try to explain some of it. Even if it only helps a few people, hopefully it helps someone. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can come by twitch.tv/Zizaran. Stream every day, if you don't know already. Feel free to ask questions about it there. But thanks for watching. Try to die less than I do. Thanks for watching.